Mbugua, Chief Financial Officer, Kenya Airways. We're here at the Intercontinental. You've just released your full year results. Big improvement, but we're still in lost territory. Would you just characterize, I see big improvement, direct costs, fleet ownership costs didn't go up as much as they might have done. How would you characterize the results?
Thank you, Ali Khan, for having
Pleasure.
me again. It's always a pleasure to sit here and chat with you.
Thank you.
And thank you for always being a defender of the cause of Kenya Airways. I think a CFO, these sort of results are very pleasing in two respects. They are pleasing because, first of all, the turnover or the revenue numbers have improved.
That was very impressive.
In spite of all the challenges that we all are aware of. We had the fire at JKIA, which disrupted our operations significantly right in the peak season. We also had the Westgate also in the peak season. And all the travel advisories that have been flying at us right, left and center. In spite of that, to see an increase in revenue is a really remarkable achievement. And the results are pleasing, secondly, because in addition to better revenue, we've actually reduced costs. And so if you look at our direct operating costs, they're actually lower by 2 billion shillings year on year. I mean, that is amazing. In spite of the fact that we've increased capacity in the market, more seats out there, more employees and so on, we have come up with lower costs. So
is there more that can be sweated out of that cost base, or do you think now really it's a question of bringing revenue to the game, more revenue?
I think our future, as you know, that the most important number in any set of financials is a revenue. And given the increase in capacity that we spoke about for this coming year, with the entry of the 787s, these 777-300s, we're actually increasing the number of seats by up to 30%. And that comes with costs of ownership, costs of operation. So we need to grow our revenue numbers significantly in order to match the increasing costs out of the capacity. However, we don't like to use the term reducing costs. We prefer to say reducing waste. And there's always opportunity. We have a project or process going on in KQ that we call WCO, or World Class Organization. It's a Kaizen. It's a different type of a Kaizen, where we are looking at all the operations in all the areas and looking at what we do, how can we do it better in order to be more efficient in managing waste. We're also renegotiating and have renegotiated a lot of the contracts, maintenance contracts and so on and so forth. And we'll continue to do that. So yes, it's a double-edged sword. We'll continue going for more revenue. At the same time, we'll continue to look at costs or rather waste.
And looking down the results sheet, so revenue, good result, good handle on costs. Obviously, fleet ownership costs are now going to increase as we move forward because of the new fleet additions. Overheads are marginally higher year on year, but we've still come out with a sharply reduced loss. Could you want to just tell us, directionally, big improvement in sort of 65 percentage point improvement in that, but do you feel that this is now a trend change, that we are moving towards profitability?
I'm really short of words in terms of terms I could use for this performance, because it is really remarkable. I mean, it is an exceptional performance to come out of an operating loss of 9 billion to reduce it to below 3 billion in 12 months, and given the operating climate and conditions that you have been working under, it is just, it's an amazing performance. We are very, very pleased. And again, to repeat myself, we like it because it's not a function of additional revenue only or a function of reducing costs only. It's actually a combination of more revenue and less cost.
Alex, going to sort of the cash position, which I think I was tweeting a little bit earlier this morning, and a lot of people were coming back to me. You had that very big rights issue not too long ago. You've got this massive fleet expansion program going on. I was there recently when you took receipt of a Dreamliner, and it's very exciting. But when you contextualize that, what is as CFO, what's the cash position? Do you have to come back to the market for more money? Are we fully funded? What are the risks to the shareholders right now?
Our expansion plan for the last year or so and going on to the next year or so, we've taken on 10 Embraers. We've taken on 9 787s. We'll have taken on 3 777-300s and 5 737s. Majority of this, especially the wide bodies, are all on purchase agreements. We, as you know, had already negotiating a financing arrangement with our lead arranger, who was Afri-Exim. We signed a facility, as you know, with JP Morgan and Citibank to the tune of close to $2 billion. If you put all those facilities together, we're looking at facilities of about $2 billion. We also raised $175 million through the rights issue. So the long and short of it is that our expansion plan of fleet expansion for the next 18 months is fully funded. So really what we need to do now is focus in the business of making sure that we generate sufficient revenues to be able to service this debt, which we have picked up in order to buy this aircraft. I must add, though, that we were able to negotiate very attractive rates going forward, so the pricing is very good. And we believe that we'll be able to generate the cash from operations to be able to service these debts going forward.
Excellent. Looking at sort of route expansion, there's been a lot of route expansion this year, and a number of new routes, the new planes. So, I mean, potentially the revenue side should look good for going forward as hopefully we get some remission from the travel advisories. But Alex, when I fly now out of JKIA, there's a lot more competition, right? It seems to me, people are being uplifted to different places in order to connect with the world. How do you characterize the competitor landscape and your place in that?
I think competition is here to stay. In fact, it's becoming more intense, particularly from the Gulf carriers and from our perennial competitor, Ethiopian Airways. But looking back the last 2-3 years, it has been very difficult for us to compete with them, because if you look at our long-haul routes where we deploy wide bodies, we have really struggled with the 767s. As you know, out of the 10 wide bodies that we have been operating, 6 of them are 767s, which are very, very old. And these are the ones which are being replaced now by the 787s. Now, this should have come out of the fleet in 2010 already. But because of the delays of the 787, they only came out of the fleet this year. So going forward, if you park a 787 JKIA next to an A330 from Emirates, flying to Dubai for the same level of fare, we believe that we will be in a more competitive position than we have been over the last 3-4 years, where we've seen other carriers come and take our lunch and our dinner and our breakfast. And obviously the flying experience, the in-flight product, the comfort, the IFE and so on is much superior in the 787 compared to even an A330, and definitely much better than the 767 that it's replacing. So yes, we have really taken the heat and the beating because of the inferior product, but we are working as hard as we can going forward to make sure that with the new product now, and also with the other area that has really been a problem and a thorn in our flesh has been the airport, especially since the fire. But on July 4th, Terminal 4, or it has been rebranded Terminal 1A, comes into operation. By the end of the year, we have the temporary arrivals and departure terminal coming through. We also have an additional arrivals terminal coming through. Then we have the greenfields coming through in the next 2 to 3 years. So there's a lot of excitement in the near future. And so from a product perspective, from the infrastructure perspective, we think there's a lot of business. In fact, recently we heard that there's a lot of Australian traffic that would prefer to go through Nairobi to Europe, transiting through Nairobi, but they can't because of our hub. But with all these developments happening at the airport.
So you think the hub is repositioning the brand as well?
Absolutely. And as Taita said, KIA has really improved, and the new management is
That's
really
a strong
really
compliment he paid. Actually.
Yes. KIA is now, we are working very well with the new management, and we are working as a team. And we think that in another 2-3 years, you will not recognize JKIA.
And in another 2-3 years, will we recognize Kenya Airways?
No, you will not, because you are familiar more than many other people about our project Mawingu.
Yes.
We've started, especially because of the revenue issues, because of the delays of the 767s, amongst other problems. We are praying hard that the terrorist issues and advisories will settle down. And so going forward, with new product, new airport, new fleet, and the new team coming through with Mbugua and Mbuvi's appointment, we expect to see a really fresher product, and we are looking to the future positively.
I shall leave it at that. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.